My name is Beatrice Odero. I'm a nurse by profession, and more importantly, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 5 boys. 3 are living, as you can see, the 3 of them here. But I've lost my first 2 sons. Jim is the first one now, then we have Greg, and then we have Eddie is the last one. I have had a very painful journey as a mother. When I got my firstborn son, I got to discover that this son had a chronic disease at 1 year, 2 months. This child had pains and swollen fingers and foot. So I looked at the son, being a nurse, I was in Kakamega that time, and asked myself, why would my son have a hand and foot syndrome? Yet I've not seen anything around sickle cell disease in my family. So I took the boy to the lab, and when we were trying to look for blood, it took so long. His veins had like collapsed. But the child was so healthy, you would not imagine. So, but at that point I saw the child was also looking pale, what I was not seeing before. So even my colleagues in the lab were wondering, hey, how come this child has been so healthy? When the test result came, it was a very painful experience. When my colleagues saw the result before me, everybody took off. They did not want to release the result to me. I had just opened it, then I called my friend Benta. So when I saw it, it's like I died on the road. You know, I'd only read it in books. I had not even seen a single child or even an adult suffering from sickle cell. So everything that I read in books just started playing into my mind at that time. I couldn't even walk. I was so affected when I saw the results were really showing that this child had some sickle cell disease. So I lived like that. After that, we started now treatment with this boy. When the boy was 4 years, I got a second-born. So this second-born was also pretty much a healthy child when he was born. But because we had already known the condition of the first boy, who was now 4 years, we now went for, the pediatrician told me to do the test. But I had to be cancelled before we went in for tests, because the child was just looking normal, looking fine. So we went for that sickling test again. We just did the normal peripheral film, and it was positive, showing that again that child was a sickler. So we started the journey again with now the 2 of them on treatment. As a mother, you keep hoping that in the next delivery, at least you might be safe because of the probability. So when I got my third-born, who is Jim, again we went for testing. These children are very, very healthy when they are little. So nobody would think. You're just going as a matter of just knowing, to know how to go about taking care of them going forward. So again, that turned positive. You can imagine my state at that time. This firstborn, secondborn, third disappointment, Greg, 4th disappointment. And then now, Warren came. When he came, we did not go for test because I was tired of seeing this disappointment all the time. And you know, each time a child is tested positive to this, in your head you're like, so now this is another challenge for me to deal with as a mother. Is it going to be possible for me? My friends told me all manner of things. Some who are even medics. They told me many things to do, that, oh, you can try this, you can try that. But because of my belief, I could not do some of those things. There are many people who are even very credible people who told me to do many, many things, especially at the point I had reached number 2 and positive. But I told myself, no, God knows my story. God knows why he brought me to this world. I cannot change. I cannot do these kind of things that I'm being told to do. Those suggestions can't work for me. So I lived on with hope that these children would live, and I tried to put my best foot forward as a mother, making sure that I have all the drugs, the prophylaxis. Basically, I can tell you it has been me as a mother in the forefront in terms of buying medicine. They are not cheap. So it has been really a journey of you're earning salary, but basically what you're doing is using that salary to make sure you give the best in terms of care for these children. Try with diet. They also have poor appetite, but you have to try. I have tried everything that this world can offer a mother to do, except I've not gone to a witch doctor. That is the only place I've not gone. All the herbs I've ever been told, this house is full of herbs. My fridge is full of medicine. I lost my second born in the year 2000, the month of October. And at that time, my second born was 10 months old. This boy developed fever. I had just gone to work on a Sabbath, I remember. And I left the child with a bit of fever, but the child was on anti-malarial. Then the child started twitching when I'm seeing. At that point, all of a sudden I lost hope. I asked myself, God, my child is dying. Why is my child dying? You know, you are totally naive. You are less than 23 years. You are wondering, what is happening? What am I seeing? You also are a medic. You see your child twitching. So what is this that is making this child to twitch? The child drowned in secretions and died around 4 a.m. So after that, of course, I got a new problem. A problem of loss and loss of your baby. The other boy is 4 years old, is asking me, where did you leave Paddy? Where did you leave Paddy? Mom, where is Paddy? So I think I went into depression after burial, and I stayed in hospital for like 3 months. Then later on, I picked up my pieces and continued to care for my child, but I was now a bit more careful. I lost my firstborn when he was a second year, when he started his second year in the university. That was 2016, October 25th. Ron became sick, could be admitted in Nairobi hospital for a couple of days, at least not so many, but come the point at which he was in Form 4, Easter of 2014, Ron got admitted for 11 days. And at that point, he was so sick that I did not know he'd make it out of Nairobi hospital. By God's grace, he did. He made it, and he went to university 2015. Now, come 2016, when he was starting his second year, he had a problem with his toe. So the doctor who was looking after him told him to stop anything red meat. So he stopped and faithfully continued to take his medication that he was put on. But now this went on. And you know, as a mother, you feel helpless. You're doing everything you can. So over time, we've been traveling these journeys. But now when I lost Ron, my life just went into some kind of a ditch. I don't know where I went. Into a pit that I cannot talk. I got total darkness. I did not know I would get up to be where I am. Number one, he was 20 years old. He had learned a lot of things. He had really mentored his brothers. He was really an icon to the brothers. He had given his brothers the reason to smile, to laugh every day. And now you've just lost him. Ron controlled everything that I had. He had my ATM cards. He's the one who was controlling whatever we are doing. Most of the time I was working out of Nairobi. So he was actually responsible for his siblings, especially when he was in Aquinas High School. He was such a responsible boy. He was such a passionate child in terms of caring for his siblings. And now, at that tender age, these two were really little, but they were broken. So I was dealing with loss myself, but also supporting my children who also had that big blow in their life. It took us very long. Every time we had a funeral in church, I remember my two children would really cry. They would really cry until I became careful. Every time they were talking about somebody who has died, I would quickly just move out with them, just so that they don't start crying again. My children cried for over 3 years after Ron. It's now 6 years since Ron parted from us. And so I continued as a mother, because what can I do? I still have these ones in my hand to care for. And if I don't live for them, what else? At the moment, we have had this long journey with Greg's illness. Greg started experiencing ill health, really bad health in 2019. 2019. And by God's grace, that was towards the time he was going to do exams, but at least it wasn't so bad that he didn't do his exams. So he did his standard 8 exams successfully and passed with 322 marks. So that was able to get him to Jamhuri High School. So since Greg started Form 1, he's been in and out of hospital, each time getting transfused 3 units. Each time getting transfused 3 units of blood. So it is at that point that the doctors felt that they are doing basically just routine care for him, just managing the symptoms each time he shows up in the hospital with the symptoms. So they thought that with the current treatment, Greg can get care, and so that he's sorted to prevent further complications. Because if nothing is done, of course, we know what the trajectory is going to look like in terms of his health. And so that's where we are here, where we are today. The panel of doctors thought that it would be important for him to get a bone marrow transplant. So we are seeking bone marrow transplant at Johns Hopkins Hospital. We wrote to them. They are waiting for the bone marrow donor matching results, which we already have. Their brother is half their match, and his match. So their brother is a potential donor, but even me, I can also donate as a parent because I'm also half a match. Jim equally is a half match to Greg, but then Jim is a sickler, so he's not. He cannot donate for Greg. So, but this problem is not just Greg only. Even Jim has relatively enjoyed good health, but Jim also got hit in 2017. Yeah, Jim got TB in 2017, possibly got that TB in school. It was so bad. Yeah, so even as we're talking now, we've been trying to mobilize funds to be able to help Greg to get to Johns Hopkins. We are looking at 32 million to be able to get this done for Greg. But I'm also worried as a mother that what happens to Jim? What if we go for that treatment and Jim remains? Now, Jim just started experiencing pain, deep pain in the sole, under the sole of his right foot. And it leaves me wondering, because that is how Ron started. Ron started feeling with the pain, with the toe. Really, even right now, I'm just wondering, what if I went with Greg and then I left Jim behind? Then Jim gets a crisis. What happens? What happens to me? This is really my dilemma as a mother. I'm just wondering, are there good people out there who would come through for us to help us to mobilize funds so that at least we see to it that these children get treated, because treatment is out there. It's not that it's like Kitambo when during the Ron's time. This time round, treatment is there. And we've been able to talk with one doctor from Minnesota that we got Be the Match, this organization that supports people to identify a bone marrow donor among sicklers. And so they attached a doctor called Ashish, Dr. Ashish. Dr. Ashish has been able to talk with Greg and really reassured him that they're doing what they can. As long as mom is able to mobilize some funds, they'll be able to support them to get them treated. So that's the position where I am. I cannot sit. I cannot sit because what do I expect when I sit back and do nothing? I have brothers and sisters out there. I have Kenyans, I have, global community out there that I can speak to. As a mother, I've also seen quite a number of cases online and I've been able to respond. So I'm just requesting that someone somewhere out there would come through for us, would support us so that we can rewrite our story as a family, so that we can have a reason to smile, so that these children can continue in their school without interruption, and that these children can also know that indeed people can wake up feeling okay in their body. My children have not known peace in terms of physical body. They are ever waking up with this or that. As a mother, socially, sometimes you go to a funeral, you live here, travel home, but you are worried. You're traveling home, but your mind is back in Nairobi because you don't know what moment you'll be told, this one is now sick. You go to the hospital with this one. When you come back, this one is sick. You're going back. That is the kind of life. It's really, really traumatizing. Beyond that, you know, the fact when you lose children, it never leaves your mind. You wake up thinking about this all the time. There's no single time you experience total peace. Even when you are laughing, see people see you, or you're strong, there's nothing like you're strong. Akuna, there's nothing like you're strong. I found myself in this predicament. I will fight this war. And I'll make sure that I do the very best that I can do within my ability. And now that I don't have my personal ability, this is the reason why I'm appealing to the global community out there, appealing to Kenyans and beyond the borders of Kenya, so that they can come and help us to raise these funds to give these children a new lease of life.
My name is Eddie, brother to Greg and Hans. To be honest, till now, the journey hasn't been easy for me and also for them, because when I date back to when I was in class 3, I remember back then I used to enjoy playing with my brother. Then this one, he started falling sick with sudden illnesses, and then he got admitted. And back then it wasn't usual to not find him at home whenever we were coming back from school. And we used to play. Yeah, I remember back then he used to be my best friend, and he was also like a father to me. And then this sudden night, sudden news came, and we found out that he was gone. He passed, and it really wasn't easy to move on from that. And just looking at the way we have continued, we have moved on from there, with my two brothers falling sick over and over. Honestly, it isn't easy as their brother to just look at them. You can't do much as a brother other than being there for them in the hospital. It isn't easy. We plead for your help so that my brothers can get treatment, and also so that other children, other families in the world and in Kenya can also be helped.
It's not a very easy disease to deal with. First of all, it drains you emotionally. There's no single day that you ever wake up to know that your day will be the way you planned it to be. Because not even the children would know that something would strike them. Anything can surprise you. They can wake up and say, "Mom, this leg, Mom, this hand, Mom, my head." And the moment I hear that, I know that it's not something to take lightly. We have to quickly put together resources to make sure we make our way to the hospital. And when you go to the hospital, more often than not, you take not less than 5 days in that hospital. So you end up with a bill of 300, 400,000 each time you get admitted. So even if you had a health cover, that health cover will soon run out because, you know, there are many of them. So I just want to appeal to well-wishers out there to just join us to give Greg and Jim a new lease of life. These children have seen it all in terms of pain in their body, having to be interrupted in their studies. Please, please, well-wishers out there, would you be kind to come and join me to give these children a new lease of life? Greg is supposed to go to Johns Hopkins, and the money that is needed is 32 million. And we have scheduled a fundraiser, a major fundraiser, physically at Maxwell Adventist Church on the 4th of October. After this, we expect that if we muscle reasonable amount of money, then we would start our journey come end of October. We have a pay bill, which is 804-5909, and then the account will be your name. So it will show you Greg The name that will come out there is Greg Medical Fund. My phone number is 0720 926 140. And now that there is solution, bone marrow transplant, I want to appeal to you that this is beyond what our family can do. This is beyond what we can afford. And that's why I'm calling upon the well-wishers to come, join hands with me and support me to really rewrite my story as a mother, but also support these children to be able to achieve their dreams.